Right, 3, 2, 1. So, let's go then. Mr. Lane, how are we this fine, slightly rainy Friday afternoon?
I'm good, mate. How you doing, Simon? Good to see you again, sir.
And you. Yeah, very good. So, here we are, Under the Influence, episode 2.
Episode 2.
Who'd have thought we'd get that far?
I'll take it.
Just quickly before we get onto the subject of today, I guess we should say a bit of a thank you to the people who watched the first one.
Definitely.
Our top 5 hard rock our top 5 pre-93 hard rock albums, which is on my YouTube, but I'll put a link in to this one for episode 1.
It was an epic first episode.
I know.
Marathon episode.
Thank God for YouTube chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my students, she said she's not, I don't think ever was really into the sort of stuff that we're talking about. But she said she really, really enjoyed it. And then it got her and her husband, who I also teach, it got both of them talking about the music they'd listened to over the years.
Oh, amazing.
So that's done the job, hasn't it?
What kind of stuff was they into?
I think she likes the Stranglers and the punk stuff. And then her husband, who I teach guitar, he comes from like a T-Rex. Bit of a glam rock background, but then he's got into loads of other things, I think, since I've been teaching him. But yeah, if it's getting people talking, yeah. And another one of my students said to me last week that they'd watched it in sections.
Yeah.
But she said the same thing, how much she does like some of the bands, I think, that we talk about and that we like. But yeah, so very good.
It's
reaction.
weird. I think some stuff like that, it kind of stuff people have forgot about and stories of their own experiences and stuff. Yeah. I think sometimes people forget about it and lock it in a cupboard in their head, but all of a sudden once someone else sets them on a path, it's like, I forgot all about that.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's good. So if we've helped people reminisce in a good way, I'll take that. And it helped me reminisce, I mean, blimey. Anyway, go back and watch the first one if you've not seen it. Right. So we obviously filmed that first episode quite a little while ago because it took me a while to, apologies, it won't be like this again. It took me a while to put it all together.
I think it was end of September, wasn't it? Something like that.
So the subject of today's video, episode 2, is, let's call it a bit of a Van Halen retrospective.
Yes.
So obviously, Eddie passed away after we'd recorded that first one, which is why we obviously didn't mention it. So I guess it was logical for both of us, a band that means, perhaps in different ways, but means quite a lot to us. I know it definitely does to you, to have a bit of a talk.
Yeah.
So what we've sort of agreed on is that we're going to, let me see if I can get this to show. We're going to concentrate on this album, and I'm going to talk to you.
Loads of people will be like, no.
Yeah, well, I don't care. Right, and then I'm going to talk to you, if you can see it, about this guitar.
Get that bad boy.
So the album is For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. See what they did there if you don't know the album. And the Music Man EVH, or I should say the Ernie Ball Music Man EVH, as it was at the time. So I think it's pretty safe to say that we both really got into Van Halen with this album, didn't we?
Definitely, yeah. That was the one. 1991, mate.
Yeah. God, that sounds a long time ago now, doesn't
it? It does. Well, it doesn't until you do the math. When you do the math.
I said in our last video, I think, that actually the first Van Halen album that I listened to was OU812.
Yeah.
Because I got it out of the library. But around this sort of time was 1991 was when my sort of guitar playing was really starting to take off. And it just happened to coincide that, look at that, pink. I don't care. I found something out about this as well subsequently. It makes it even harder that I don't own it anymore. If you can't, I'll digitize this and put it in the video. But if you look very closely, you can see my PV Envoy, I think it was,
You know what? I think I had one of them as well.
Yeah, it wasn't even the Bandit, the 1x12. It was the 1x10. Because I think at the time that's all I could get. Yeah. And then that bad boy there, look, it's like an old, well, a bit like a karaoke machine. My cousins who are also musicians, one's a drummer, one's a guitar player, gave me that. And you could plug an instrument into it, but you could also, it had a tape deck in it, so I could record myself. Incredible. Yeah, even at that.
And what year is that then? Is that 91 or is that 92?
I think I've tried to look back. I think got this in 92. I'm pretty certain. If it wasn't 92, it was very early 1993. I'm just trying to look what's in the background on the Dweezil Zappa. I'll tell you about that as well in a minute. So also in the last video, right, I mentioned to you that I got a Washburn N2, a Nuno.
Yes, that's
guitar.
another
I found a picture of that as well today. I'll put that up as well. And I kept that for quite a while, but I think I sold that to buy this.
Okay, well, that's a fair trade.
I think. Well, I did. It was before this guitar. So I went down to me and my dad. This was the last guitar in the country at the price that I paid for it.
Ooh,
this was
are
the
you
last
willing to
one.
divulge how much you paid for it?
I can't. It was 900 and something.
Yeah, I knew there was around the £1,000 mark.
No, yeah, I think it was 9. If it was 950, they were going to be going up to 1100 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it was at Machine Head Music in the Harlow branch, and so my dad took me down there, and I just remember when the guy gave it to me, I can remember the neck. I've talked to you about this before. The neck on Music Man guitars, it's just like a bare piece of wood, and it got all like maple figuring in it.
Yeah,
they put a bit of a wax finish to seal it, but once you've played it a bit, it's just like playing a bare piece of maple. But I can remember it. I can vividly remember it's the same old thing. And back then, bearing in mind I'd not been playing all that long, I couldn't think of anything to play. You know, you go in. It's the same, isn't it? You go in a shop, and even now I've written all these songs and I've played all this long. And if I go and try a guitar, well, I can't. My mind goes blank. But so this was the last one that was basically left from the distributor, apparently, that was at the old price. But it was pink.
Don't look pink on that.
No, it was more to the red side of pink than like salmon pink.
I bet it was beautiful though, wasn't it, up close?
Oh, yeah. I've subsequently found...
I'll just keep dropping them.
Yeah, thank you.
It's gorgeous.
But I've subsequently found out that they didn't make many in pink, or at least not many pink ones made it to the UK.
I'm going to say, I've not seen many.
No. They were either... Eddie played the amber one, didn't he? Can you remember? The yellow amber colour.
Yeah, that was only like Pancake video.
And I think he had a purple one as well. But there weren't many pink ones came in. I'm
trying to think what other colours there was.
There was purple. I think there was a sunburst later on. There was a natural. The natural one was really nice. Just like just a clear coat on the maple top.
Did he have a stripe one in that, or was that a later?
He might have done at some point as a promo thing. I'm not sure, but I don't think they ever made one. I'm not going to be funny, but I think it was a bit. I was going to say a bit classier than that, but yeah, you know what I mean. He probably had some made, didn't he? Let's be honest. But I don't think I might be wrong.
So I don't think he ever did a black one in the original Music Man, did he?
Yeah, later on there was a grey coloured one, a grey sort of translucent. I've seen one of those actually. I've been looking today and I saw somebody playing one. I think it was the Music Man, not the EVH, not the because when Eddie left Music Man and went to PV. The Music Man kept the EVH going for a bit, called the Axis. Right. Basically the same guitar. I assume it got very slightly different. His name pickups. On it. Yeah. But the great thing about it, again, I'll put the picture up. Just a toggle for pickup selector and just a volume, which I think actually said tone on it. It was a tone.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I didn't get that.
Someone says, "Why did it say tone?" He says, "Well, tone's your volume anyway."
Exactly. So, I mean, you can imagine being, I can't remember, how old would I have been then? 91, 92, 17. That sounds about right, doesn't it?
Was they quite small guitars?
Yeah, it's a smaller. It was a full scale length. I'm not sure what the scale length is, but the actual body felt quite small to play. From memory, it wasn't massively heavy, but it's just the neck. Now, to be honest with you, so you're talking. I got this in '92, I think. Then, not long after that, I started to obviously get into Pearl Jam and blah 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 blah. I wanted a Les Paul. Hated Floyd Rose because the hassle with if you snap a string or changing the strings. So the demise of this guitar was that I wanted a Les Paul, and I sold it to a butcher from Ashbourne in Derbyshire.
Right.
He's not there anymore, so I can't go and ask him if I can buy it back.
Could you track it down?
I have thought in the past about that. 650 quid, I think I sold it for.
Yeah.
Which at the time, because I didn't have it that long, but I think because I'd got it at a reasonably good price for what it was then, and I just wanted this Les Paul.
Yeah.
I haven't got that either anymore, but I'm not so bothered about that.
Have you still got the Les Paul?
So I think if it wasn't for the fact that it had got a Floyd Rose, which you buy a Van Halen guitar, it's going to have but your musical, this happens to loads of guitar players. You have a Floyd Rose, and then a few years later you think, oh, I can't
be arsed.
Yeah. But I reckon, how many guitars have I owned? 30 odd guitars over the time.
Really?
Yeah. This is the one that I can't believe I sold.
That's the one that got away.
It's easy in hindsight, though, isn't it? Because
it is. There's so much stuff I've got rid of, and oh man, I wish I'd kept that. Why did I give that away? Or why did I sell that?
But you see, you look. So I was going to say, you look on YouTube now, and if you want a Music Man one, an EVH, not an Axis, this EVH, it depends what colour they are. The amber ones, because
don't be looking now. Don't look for a couple of years, because then prices are going to be insane, dude.
There were some from Japan for $3.5, $4 grand, and then doing a bit of research, now finding out that the pink ones are quite sought after as well. You see, if I'd kept it this long, I wouldn't be selling it. But just the thought that I sold it for 650 quid.
Yeah.
So,
mate, live and learn.
I know you do. And the other thing, I guess, is I was really getting into Dweezil as well around that time. And he played a purple one.
Yeah.
That Eddie probably
that's in one of the videos from Confessions.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. So, again, on this picture, just behind, they used to do a thing in Guitar World magazine where they had, what do they call it? Load-in, was it? Where a famous player would have a picture taken of all his setup. And they talk about it, and I think he's holding the purple one there. In actual fact, I'm pretty certain that next to it is a review of Z Gig, with Amit. I'm sure it is. And in actual fact, there's an Ernie Ball poster there. I wonder if that must be a Van Halen poster. So, yeah. I could get
Flying Eddie's thing, man, you'd spot that from
a
million miles away.
I could get quite emotional about that. I can feel it a bit now. I'm not going to cry in video, but so yeah,
you'll get one again one day. It'll just the opportunity shall arise.
I don't know. Yeah, so obviously, I was just coming out of a lesson. I came out of a lesson where I'd been, I say teaching. I'd been showing somebody my attempts to play Hot for Teacher. Go off the Zoom call. Look at the news. Saying, and it had been announced that he passed away. And
I can't believe it. I saw Wolfgang's Instagram post, and it was a picture of Eddie, and I just didn't accept what I was reading. I thought, this can't be right. This is just bizarre. It's like I knew he was ill. I knew, obviously, he'd been ill for years and years, but that was kind of the one I've been dreading, because so many famous people pass away from... And a lot more from your youth now. It's happening a lot more. And it's like, shit. And this was kind of one which I was hoping wasn't going to happen for a while. Probably, what's the word? A bit selfishly, I kind of hoped I'd get to meet him one day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's that kind of thing as well.
It had got a very similar feel to me. from a different standpoint, but I'm a massive Bowie fan. I have been for a long time, and a similar sort of thing there. I was walking down the stairs. I shouldn't be doing this. I was looking at my phone, walking down the stairs. What does that say about me? And I saw it just flashed up on my phone that Bowie did announce it. And I sat at the bottom of the stairs and said to Angela, my wife, you're not going to believe this, because it's the same thing, isn't it? People like that have had I got into Bowie much later than I was into Van Halen, but you expect them always to be there, don't you?
They're almost like invincible. They're superheroes, mate.
Yeah.
And
so, what do we think about this album then, Bob? What did it say to you when you first heard it?
I'm trying to think, because I was on holiday at my dad's, and I can somebody knew I was into rock music, and I think I've racked my brain as to who it was, and I cannot think who it was. Must have been just like a son of a friend of my dad's or something like that. He knew I was into rock music, and he said like, "Oh, have you heard the new Van Halen album?" And I wasn't into Van Halen at that point. I was kind of getting into David Lee Roth because I'd seen him earlier that year, so I was putting the pieces together. And this friend of my dad's, he was just like, "Oh, you got to check it out," and he was just reeling all these facts out about the album. Oh, Eddie plays this like double neck kind of bass thing on the album, and he was just talking about all these songs and stuff like that. And then I think I picked up a copy of Guitar World, and there was an interview with Eddie in that, and there was the opening paragraph was talking about him driving up to Eddie's house to do this interview, and they were talking about Hot for Teacher and all this kind of stuff, and it just sounded great. Just sounded like totally different to the kind of, even though Van Halen's music is within the, let's say, the genre of stuff I was listening to, just like the song titles and all that kind of stuff sounded totally different. So it kind of piqued my interest a little bit, and you couldn't escape the Pancake video on MTV that summer. So I just got into them from that way. And to me, I think that album still sounds great. I think you're always biased about rose-tinted glasses and or whatever your ears were listening to at a formative time in your music, but
no, I agree.
I still think it's great. Really do.
I've not long had it on CD because my copy was cassette tape.
Yeah.
And then I realised a little while ago that I'd not got the CD. Well, that can't be right. But I've been listening to it a lot again over the last, way before Eddie passed. But
yeah.
Now you see, let's talk about the guitar tone, right? We'll come on to bass in a minute, but so Eddie's renowned for the Brown sound, which basically was a one pickup, one knob guitar into a Marshall, cranked with the variac thing that varied the voltage of it.
Okay.
But then it started to get this thing where his sound became more layered. Do you know what I mean? So when you listen to some of the riffs on this, and this was happening a bit before as well, but there's almost that DI, like it's lots of different layers. There's almost like a little DI thing on the top, like a clean. It's like he's mixed a bit of a clean sound in for definition, very crispy. And at sometimes I find it quite annoying. But again, you listen to it differently, and he was trying to get all these layers go. I think on those chords for Pound Cake, da, 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 you can hear it. There's like, I mean, I don't know whether he will have recorded this all at the same time or whether it's been tracked at various points.
Okay.
But you can definitely hear he's gone away now from just that straight cranked Marshall thing to, obviously he was using different amps now at that point, but there's that definite like zingy clean sound on it, which I would love to have heard. I mean, I need to listen to some of the isolated tracks because you sent me one, but I can't remember what that was now. What did you send me?
It was Unchained from
that was it. That was an older one.
Long time ago.
Yeah, I need to see if I can find some isolated tracks from this era. I'd just like to hear it out of the context of the band mix to see how it works. Because it's almost like one of the guitar tracks on the top. You listen to it, it's like it's just plugged straight into the desk.
Yeah.
And it's just all mixed in together.
That's pretty cool. I never heard that description of it, to be honest.
Yeah. But then you see, when you go back and listen to the first 4 or 5 albums, it's just straight punching you in the face. Marshall is absolutely going to break down at any moment, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say which sound I like more. again, talking about Pancake, I love the way that first guitar, it's like just this is a big power chord, and it's all this going on. It's distorted amp, it's this clean thing going on, some chorus, some delay. But it just sounds so massive, doesn't it?
It is arena rock.
Yeah. But isn't the sound of this album so big?
Yeah, it was great. If you compare it to the previous two, let's say Sammy albums as well.
Yeah.
I think it's leagues above.
Yeah.
Have you watched the MTV Awards performance of Pancake recently?
Probably not recently. I've probably seen it.
It's so
point.
good.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's like everything is just amazing. There's like comments in it saying whoever mixed the sound on this give him a medal because they did such a good job. It's
funny though, isn't it?
It's awesome.
Maybe not for us, but what's the best known song on this album? I'm just looking now, and it's up probably Right Now, isn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Which that's got the classic Van Halen thing though, the piano keyboard part, and then Alex comes ploughing in with those drums. There's so many songs.
It's a phenomenal song though, man.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, but that's what. I actually like some of my favourite Van Halen songs are like the big sort of ballady rock songs.
Yep.
Because there'll be some sort of intro and then the drums will like just come in. Where's that come from? You know, this is a tender song but it just sounds so good.
Yeah.
So if you had to pick a song then from
okay.
What would your tune be, do you think?
Well, Pancake is one of my all-time favourite Van Halen songs.
Right.
Yeah. And Top and Tail It with Top of the World is another of my favourite songs. I love the fact that the intro riff is taken from Jump. It's the outro riff to Jump.
Yeah.
I think Van Halen, or at least Eddie Van Halen, is one for recycling things.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
A lot of times, such as, that whole last album with Dave was all recycled demos, that different kind of truth.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, most of it was.
It was all, wasn't it? Yeah. Dating back to the 70s demos, weren't there?
Like really, really early stuff. Yeah. Which is quite a cool thing, really.
Way to think, yeah. I think, for me, maybe again, listening to it more recently, I like the feel of In and Out.
Yeah?
Bam, ba-da-ba-da. It's the way that everybody comes in at a certain time together. Yeah.
One that grew on me was The Dream Is Over as well. That's
the. Yeah.
But that's from the chorus as well. 'Cause it's almost like a bolt-on chorus.
Yeah.
For Dream Is Over.
Yeah.
But it is so good. It just goes poof through the roof. It's awesome.
Yeah. So talk to me about bass then, mate. Did you get anything from Michael and his bass from this particular album, or is it just his overall thing of Van Halen that you like?
With Michael Anthony, it's just the whole package. I think I don't know if I've said it to you before in one of these chats, but I've said it to a lot of other people. He's the most rock star on the planet, the most unassuming guy who could just walk down the street and no one would bat an eyelid, but put him on a stage and it just kind of transforms just from his energy and everything. But this album, particularly compared to certainly OU812, I remember when it came out, everyone said, yes, they've cranked the bass in the mix. Oh. And it's just thunderous. It really is. You've got two contrasts.
Let's just quickly say that. OU812, is there any bass on that?
That's been the thing where they've said, like...
Terrible, isn't it?
Just can't hear anything at all.
Yeah. I read something.
I wonder how he feels about that.
Yeah, I read something recently that Eddie had said that it's a terrible mix. He'd always wanted to go back because I thought, have I got the original pressing of this on CD? Have I not? But I don't think there's ever been a remaster. There might have been, but anyway, sorry, I interrupted you. Carry on. Sorry.
But Michael Anthony's playing on this one. You just got two total contrasts from Pancake, and then Right Now, just two totally different styles of playing. And the argument is out there that how much does Eddie's input on the bass come into it, which cause apparently Eddie played all the bass on Van Halen 3, which I don't know if that's ever been confirmed. Seems a bit odd, but it is kind of a different bass feel to it. I know Eddie is an insanely good bass player. But yeah, just on Pancake, it's fucking thunderous, man.
Yeah. I know.
Anyone want to hear anything about, he's just thumping along on the root? Yeah, but listen to how good it sounds.
To it. Like metronomic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And plus what everybody always says is his vocals.
Yeah.
I think you've said that to me before, that without his vocals, there's something missing.
Yeah.
Live. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it's great what they've been doing the past few years. A lot of people said there was piping Mike's vocals through the speakers, but
were they?
That's what a lot of people are saying. But according to
right.
Wolfgang, who I will take his word for it, it was all live, and I'm not going to doubt that Wolfgang can't sing, because that new single is phenomenal.
Yeah,
what he's put out.
Yeah. So, because again, what I've read, the falling out with Michael meant that. Didn't they go back? Oh, we shouldn't be bad mouthing anybody, but there was obviously falling out, wasn't there? And
it's a band, mate. Friggin' hell.
Yeah, didn't they go back and try and, when they've done reworkings, purposely lower his bass and stuff like that? I can't remember, but there was something, or in latter albums where they're purposely not mixing him very loud.
I've not heard anything about the actual mix. I've heard stuff about, like, obviously with the reunion tour in 2004. He had to be a part of that tour. He had to sign away all his rights to Van Halen,
right.
And stuff like that. And I heard something, somebody might be able to correct me, but when they did Guitar Hero,
I've heard
they was not going to have him included if there was like images of each of them and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It's weird. I'd love to know the ins and outs of it, because they're saying it's all because when the band was on a bit of either when Sammy left or the band was on a bit of a hiatus, Michael carried on playing with Sammy. And that's what the big fallout was. Yeah. So, but if that's the case, when Sammy came back for the reunion tour, why shit on Michael?
Yeah.
It's a bit weird.
Maybe it's the result of being a nice bloke.
It's just a middleman. It's like trying keep himself happy, keep everyone else happy, and stay busy. And it's weird, but it's got to be a weird kind of interaction where you got two brothers who are inseparable in the band.
Yeah,
I would imagine if they feel any bit of betrayal, you're probably going to get cut off.
Yeah,
which is that's like a DNA. That's a blood thing. That is. And
yeah. I think one of the other interesting things about this album as well is. It's that thing we've talked about before about the natural progression. So this almost came out, didn't it? Like just as or just before. Well, yeah, I suppose it did come out very slightly. What year was Nevermind released? Was that 91?
91, yeah.
Yeah.
The same summer.
Yeah. But there are a lot of bands that we probably like were starting to try and get a little bit of the DNA from this new stuff, weren't they? This grunge thing. But this album, it comes before that. It's not Van Halen a year later thinking, we've got to do something here to try and sound like these bands. It still sounds like Eddie's decided I need to change my guitar sound, or I need to do this.
Well, Eddie don't listen to anything other than Peter Gabriel's So album.
Yeah.
That's all he ever quotes. What's your favourite album? Well, I've not brought an album since So by Peter Gabriel.
Yeah. So
he just plays what he is in his head.
Yeah. It still fitted in with what I was going on to listen to.
Yeah.
Maybe not the lyrical content, but we'll gloss over that a little bit. But
I remember reading a review in Kerrang, which and I was like all in. I'd like just like devouring this album and any Van Halen stuff. Then I think I picked up an old issue of Kerrang, which actually reviewed this album, and they said it's all right, but it's rich man rock.
Yeah,
and I can agree with that. Certainly from Sammy's point of view, I think everything Sammy's done for the last 30 or 40 years, you could file it under rich man rock.
Yeah,
but it's not that I'm not going to enjoy it and listen to it.
Yeah, no, I think there's something, to me, I hate that. There's something very real about this record.
Yeah. If
I just like open up, where is it on the sleeve? The shot of him in the studio where they're showing the feet. I mean, that's people that don't really give one, isn't it? Really, let's be honest. I mean, you've got cowboy boots, you've got a couple of pairs of white trainers, and I don't know what they are, but it's not, it's
it's not pompous sort of thing.
That's a very good way to put it. So that's got to have hurt Michael to be treated like that when you've been in a band like this, and you've made the records that they've made. That, all right, you've got this virtuoso playing guitar, but you're still regarded by the fans as a man who is like instrumental to it.
Integral,
literally. Yeah.
It is a weird one, and it divides me a little bit, because when I heard he wasn't going to be in the band anymore and they said they got Wolfgang in, I was like, okay, well, if you're going to replace him with anybody, replace him with a Van Halen. You can't argue with that. But I just felt it missed. It's weird, the connection between Eddie and Wolfgang on stage, and Wolfgang is probably the reason that Van Halen were, let's say, active for the last almost 20 years or so. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't have had nothing, I don't think. But yeah, I think it missed so much in the live arena when it comes to Michael and his vibe and his aura. It's such a shame.
Yeah. Really so is. How many times did you get to see him, Bob?
First time I saw him was on the Right Here Right Now tour in was that 93 in the UK?
Maybe.
With Little Angels supporting him.
Yeah.
Saw him in Birmingham on that one, and saw him twice on the Bon Jovi tour, the stadium tour, and I've been to America twice to see him. Saw him in 2000.
You were with Russell, weren't you, once?
Me and Russell went to Florida when they had like a hurricane. We were the last flight out of the UK in 2004. And we were supposed to see him in Fort Lauderdale, I think it was. And this is like, internet was happening back then. Obviously, it was happening in 2004, but if you're on holiday, you had to go to an internet cafe and log on. So we turned up at the gig and like, not many people here, and the frigging gig had been cancelled. I was like, oh shit. So we made the decision to drive up to Orlando from Fort Lauderdale. It took us about 3 or 4 hours. Went to Universal Studios the following morning. Then we drove down to, where was it? Tampa. And I saw him there. Russell stayed at home in the hotel.
I remember, yeah. I don't remember, I wasn't there.
He met me afterwards. We went out.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess Eddie's up there. I mean, just judging by the amount of times in these terrible guitar player poll, who's the best poll, that they're having guitarists every so often. I guess let's have a think. It's Hendrix, Eddie, maybe Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, Brian May. It's all the same. It's the same. It's the usual suspects every time for a good reason, isn't it? But I would choose it. I would find it very hard to choose between Eddie and Jimmy Page, if I'm honest.
Really?
Out of the Jimmy Page is probably in my top 3.
Yeah.
Everything just about the man. Yeah. And just the fact that I just love his, I made a mistake, I'm going to keep doing it, and I've written a riff.
What about, because people say who's the most innovative guitar player, and it always seems to be between Eddie and Hendrix.
Well, I think the thing about Hendrix, isn't it? I say this so many times to students, and that is that it's what he did with the guitar as much as what he actually played. I mean, setting fire to guitar, using the whammy bar like he did. Take again the Marshalls cranked and everything into a blues rock realm. But I would always, out of the two, I would always pick Eddie.
Yeah, it's
just because it speaks to me more. But then again, you see that if I wrote down 10 of my favourite guitar players, every single one of them would probably say they were massively influenced by Hendrix. Yeah, obviously, yeah. But a good proportion of them would also say Eddie, and I'd like to know which one they'd pick as the number one. I've never been a big Hendrix fan.
Yeah, God, how ignorant am I to kind of say how in Hendrix's output, how much stuff is there that was like, holy shit, which you could like put in front of somebody? Or was it just purely because of the time it came out?
Oh,
And
no, well, I mean,
one
he's
had
written
seen
some
anything like it?
fantastic songs, hasn't he? And you can't. I'm not going to. I'll get absolutely slaughtered if I decried Hendrix, you know. But he's just never spoken to me.
No.
I like a few of the songs, but if I was lucky enough to speak to Mike McCready from Pearl Jam or Dave Navarro, or I don't know, most they'd say Hendrix, and like Mike McCready, all his soloing and everything, and like Pearl Jam live shows, he's an absolute. He adores Hendrix, but
Yeah,
I've
that
just
obvious?
I think I might have said it's the Luddite, not the Luddite, the contrarianism. It's me being contrary, probably partly. Everybody says to you when you first learn the guitar, you must like Hendrix.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me goes, right, I'm not going to like Hendrix on purpose.
It's probably a weird one because it's like, as Hendrix got more riffs and things that someone could pick up as a beginner, whereas Van Halen,
maybe
it's not that
true.
easy.
Yeah, right. Let's think. Let me think about this. Is off the top of my head. So if someone don't like what I'm about to say, then I apologise already. Hendrix, that's everything. Hey Joe, Purple Haze, Foxy Lady. There's three straight away.
Along the Watchtower.
All along the Watchtower. Yeah. Crosstown Traffic, maybe not.
Yeah.
Because of the effects on it. But right now, I think of Van Halen. You really got me. That's
right.
not massively difficult to play. And I've had a few people say, can they learn that riff? And I have to explain to them that it's actually, they didn't write it.
I was actually making some notes, really. But when it comes to cover version, talk about like taking a song and doing a cover version and making it your own song. That's got to be up there with like...
Of course it has. It's brilliant.
It's unreal how that song transformed.
But right, so yeah.
Talking which songs people could like learn like...
Yeah, right, so there's a difference. People say Eruption. One of my students, he says, I'm going to learn to play Eruption, right? And it was great what he did. He taught it, but he did the tapping bit. He didn't play any of the other bits, right? But it's even that to a beginner is obviously, But whereas you really got me, it's da 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 da. Yeah, I could teach someone to play that, and it's much easier for me. But whereas Hendrix is there are probably more. I mean, let's be honest. You think about the riffs you learn when you're playing guitar when you first start.
Mm-hmm.
Smoke on the Water.
Yeah,
you're going to learn to play that. You're not going to jump straight into Eruption.
No,
I don't
think I'd
try. I'm not going to stop you.
Eruption now. I'd have to psych myself.
I'd have to sit down and
think
about it. Yeah.
But, Ain't Talking About Love. You could. That's probably the most achievable Van Halen song.
Yeah. Because it's A minor. Yeah. It's A minor. Little variations of. Yeah.
And Running with the Devil. Kind of strange that those are both on the first album because you could flip them with some of the other songs on the first album, which I it was quite nice actually. Before this chat, I've been revisiting some of the old stuff, and it's like revisiting some old friends. Yeah. Listening to some of the old albums, but some of the stuff on, particularly Van Halen 1 and Fair Warning, you could go into a guitar shop, and like we were saying earlier, what would you play? If you cranked out any of them riffs, like confidently, people would be like, "Whoa,
yeah, he's good." Yeah. That's all a technique thing, though, isn't it? That shows you how good Eddie's technique was.
Yeah,
and what an innovator he was with it. So,
just to come up with that kind of stuff, though.
Right, but let me just make a slightly geeky technical guitar point. Right, another one. So as I say, I was teaching hot for teacher, right? I think I did all right with it, but so without getting too technical, it's basically the minor pentatonic scale connected. So in position 1, right, and then it's the same, very similar patterns in the repeated position 1 at the octave, right?
Okay.
Connected by that really lovely tremolo pick, that thing that he does between the two. It's a blues solo.
Yeah.
If you played it slowly, it's all blues licks, right? And it's
Think
the
you got
blues
that from
licks.
Clapton?
Maybe, yeah. But it's the blues licks that Dave Gilmour plays, but much more slowly. They're the blues licks that every blues guitarist plays, but Eddie played them much more quickly with an attitude. With the speed, that doesn't make it. When he plays, I suppose it's partly because of it's not a bluesy song, obviously, but the speed is the technique that takes it up a level. So that when you hear it played, it doesn't sound like a blues solo, really. But
No.
if he played it, because that song's something ridiculous, like 250 beats per minute or something stupid. Right, now this is the other thing, it's shuffle. Hot for Teachers has got a shuffle feel, right? And that's what my students have struggled with it.
Yeah, that's always going to be the bit.
Yeah, it's trying to make a guitar solo bouncy and fast. Ba-ba-da-ba-da, is really hard, right? So most of them have got somewhere near that we're happy with it, right? But so that's his technique coming across, that he could play it quickly, but he could also give it the feel that he wanted.
That's just personality just coming through his fingers.
It's a bit of everything, yeah.
Yeah. And he's a guy who doesn't know theory and stuff like that as well, isn't he?
No. And obviously he'd been trained as a pianist, hadn't he? Because I mean, but just another aside. Sorry, I'm talking a lot today.
No, it's fine. I find it interesting.
Fair Warning album.
Yeah.
Push Comes to Shove, which we've talked
good
about.
Job on that
I
one.
sent you my bass tab. Yeah. I'm quite pleased with that myself. Now, I think that was written on the synthesizer or the piano.
Okay.
I don't know. I assume Eddie played that in the studio. I might be wrong on the recording. Michael, I hope he did play it. But you know, when I was teaching that, when I play it, I can tell a guitar player's written that.
Really? Yeah.
And my student who I did it with, she said she could tell the same, that wasn't written by a bass player.
In what way? What kind of
just the riffs in it are very some of the patterns in it are very guitar. They feel more like a guitar player playing a riff than it does a bass.
Yeah.
That might be partly because it's so different to bass lines in a lot of other Van Halen songs. It's disco. It's got a disco feel to it. But I could tell straight away
that's mad.
That he'd written it and that it'd been written by a guitar player.
I've never heard that said. That's really interesting, man.
Yeah. I really enjoy playing that. It's got elements of a disco sort of funk almost feel to it.
What was going in his head? I have no idea.
Well, say that again.
What was going through his head to come up with
but as I say,
stuff
I'm pretty certain he wrote it on the keyboard.
Yeah.
And then it got transferred onto the bass. So let's assume that he played it on the record. Now you see, that's interesting as well. So we're moving a bit away from Unlawful Carnal Knowledge now, but it's a retrospective, so we can talk about it.
Did you see him live at any point?
Can I make a terrible admission that I've never seen him live? No. That Little Angels
we didn't get
tour,
many opportunities, really.
No, the Little Angels tour, I've got a feeling me and my mate at the time, who also played guitar, were going to go, and we couldn't go for some reason. Because I've said I'm a massive, I've listened to it for a long time, but Little Angels, they were one of my bands. I'm pretty certain I wanted to go, but I couldn't for some reason.
Mate.
So I never got to see him live. That's bad, isn't it? This album means a lot to both of us, but I think so. Me sort of then teaching these older songs from the classic albums, if you want to call them that, gives you a completely different perspective as well on what he was doing then.
Yeah.
Right. So let's do a few quick fire questions. I think I told you. Right. So if you got to pick one Van Halen song now to listen to, what would you pick?
From any era?
Any era, anything.
Oh, man. Or what is my favourite Van Halen song?
Well, it's not necessarily what your favourite is, but if you've got to pick one now to listen to.
Everybody Wants Some comes to mind.
Right, there you go. Don't say any more. That's fine. You know what I've just said about, I like the ballady songs where the drum.
Yeah.
I'd probably say When It's Love.
Yeah. Always sounds
I just
epic when
the
it
keyboards and then the drums get me
Yeah.
every time. Now you see, that's interesting. What we said about that album and the mastering. The songs. I'm trying to think what songs are either side of it now, because it always confuses me with that album about the order, because they're not in the same. They're written in alphabetical order, aren't they? But they're not played in that order.
Are you on about like the track listing on the sleeves?
Yeah.
That seems to be a thing. I had a discussion with somebody about that, because particularly on like I think it's on Diver Down as well.
Yeah,
They're in a different
Same,
order.
yeah,
Apparently,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like Ted Templeman who produced them.
Annoying.
That was his original.
Right,
that was his
got it.
original track listing, which he
Yeah.
and it got changed.
Right. No. So when it's the songs either side are much
I could find
quieter.
out. I've got
Terrible. It's there's just the levels are like, no, seriously, the levels like that between songs.
really.
I have to crank
man.
some because and then the next one comes on, it's like blasting your ears off.
Well, you've got When It's Love's the second on. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
once you've got
second
Mine
track
or
into it.
Mine.
Yeah,
When It's Love, then AFU Naturally Wired.
yeah. So I think it starts off the first track quiet, and then When It's Love's.
Mine
Right,
or
it's
Mine's a
almost-
weird opener. It's almost.
I like that song though.
It's
I like
a great
the drums
song,
on it again.
but-
I'm mentioning the drums a lot, aren't I? Look at that, the rhythm. No, the rhythm's. Yeah. Right. That's a slightly different thing. Can we name one of our favourite at the moment, or one that springs to mind? Favourite riff, not song now. What riff? What would you say?
I mentioned it earlier. Top of the World, simply because
Yeah.
it's a
Go.
but Unchained is the definitive Van Halen one.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty much anything off Van Halen 1 is
Yeah.
insane. I'm the One is just a crazy.
Yeah.
You could think is with Van Halen 1. Well, probably Van Halen 1 and Fair Warning. You could listen to those albums as instrumental and be blown away.
Yeah,
to
I
just
know.
be like insane.
I'm gonna say
Go on.
Drop Dead Legs.
Yeah.
That the guitar. That is. If I was thinking of like the quintessential hot rod, hot rod, like rock sound, Marshall cranked.
Yeah.
That sound is absolutely. It's verging on obscene. It's that good. Yeah, that's the sound that rock guitar players have been chasing. Just there's something in one of the notes he bends in the riff as well. But yeah, that.
You've been dissecting them things.
Yeah, well, I've been listening to him a lot recently. Yeah, but there's just something about the tone. That's the Brown sound to me.
Yeah.
It's just the Marshall cranked.
How
It's
much
just
if he just went through your rig now, how much of that
Yeah.
Brown sound would still resonate, do you reckon? I think there'd be a fair bit. I think it's in the fingers as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always said that I wasn't such a big fan of the earlier albums. Obviously, you know the songs and you know Jump and blah, blah, blah. But, so for example, I've never been a big fan of reverb.
Okay.
Right? I've always got my ambience from a delay pedal, right? Set low. That's from Eddie. Eddie might have used reverb, but most of the time, particularly around this era and maybe onto Balance, he used a delay pedal, not a reverb.
Right.
He did on the early albums. You can tell there's reverb when you've got it in. There's an echo plex going, a tape echo. But when you listen, there's reverb there. But in latter years, when I really got into him, I'm 99.9% certain he was using just a delay, and it's times to like mimic, because you can set your reverb. Sorry, you set your delay pedal to the maximum delay. Like on my digital delay now, it's 800 milliseconds, I think.
Right.
So a bit under a second. But you put it really low, so that when you've played a note, when you've played a riff or a note, you then just get the little repeat
Just
in the
a
background.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think that was a big,
There's got to be some kind of rig rundown for what he used
Of course
on
there
those.
is. Yeah. I mean, the classic thing now, Bob, is I don't know if you've heard of Friedman amps, Dave Friedman.
Yes.
I've got a Friedman, a Dirty Shirley Mini, which is, again, going for that 70s rock sound. But his whole thing is Hot Rod and Marshalls from that that classic sort of period.
Yeah.
So it's a massive thing, and the amount of people that make pedals now that are like Marshall in a box to try and get that sound. So it's a whole industry of chasing Eddie's tone still. Like, I don't know, what year did Van Halen 1 come out? You know, what year was the first album?
I played it wrong. I'm going to say 78 jumps in.
I'm going to say 78, yeah. Well, look at that, whatever that is.
Let me confirm it.
30 odd year, 40, yeah. We're still, 40 years later, we're still trying to get that sound out of the pedal.
78.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Van Halen 1, 78. Van Halen 2, 79. Women and Children First, 80. Fair Warning, 81.
Yeah.
Diver Down, 82. And then 1984 came out right at the beginning of 1984. That's insane.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. How do you feel about balance? Well, you mentioned it briefly.
I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you think Seventh Seal's just like
Amsterdam? Yeah, they're not great lyrics, are they? Wham Bam Amsterdam. Yeah.
Oh, terrible. Terrible. Big Fat Money. Terrible.
Yeah. What's the first song called? With the
Seventh Seal, but it's just a re-waking a pancake on the intro.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, but it's a good song though.
It's great. It's great, but yeah.
It's the same. It's just in a different key. You're quite right. What's the sort of power ballad on that?
Can't Stop Loving You, and then Not Enough. Yeah. You see, this is
what Can't Stop That. Is that the one that there's a different sound? Yeah, it is that one. Yeah, I like that song. Yeah.
This is what I think.
Yeah.
I think I'm a big fan of Sammy Hagar, especially where he is now, what is a whole thing. I think everything that Sammy Hagar's done in the last, I don't know however many years, it's probably like 25 years now. I think when he got kicked out of Van Halen after Balance, it was a kick up the arse for him. I think it was a shock to the system for him, because I think on Balance, his lyrics are tired, he was just cruising along. And he got kicked out, and ever since then you're like, shit.
Yeah,
and it was a wake up call for him, I think.
Yeah.
And ever since then he's been in a different league, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm going to embrace this party man thing and give it 110% all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's in great shape and his voice still sounds pretty good, so he must have looked after himself. That leads next quick question. It's not quick. Dave or Sammy? I think we've both got to say Sammy, haven't we?
I chop and change.
Yeah, I probably do, but I think on the whole, you can say it. You don't have to be ashamed.
No, I do. I chop and change. I was full on Sammy for about the first 3 years. Then I was Dave for 7 or 8 years. Then started listening to more Sammy stuff. It is two totally different bands.
You just go. Of course,
two totally different bands. It really.
I mean, I said Drop Dead Legs. I mean, that must mean I like Dave to some degree.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, if Van Halen had carried on from 1984, how much would they have survived, do you think? I mean, Dave had a good run wearing my Skyscraper t-shirt here.
Yeah, very good.
But I mean,
yeah, it would have been. They wouldn't have. Do you think they'd have had the? Did you say it to me before, or did I read it somewhere where they said about, or was it something you posted? The difference was that they were like a rock and roll party.
Yeah. It was a quote I read, which I thought.
When Sammy took over, it became an oiled machine, didn't it?
Yeah. It just cruised along. Like, I think it was, if a split was going to happen, it happened at the perfect time.
Yeah. Could you have seen them having the hits if they'd have kept going with Dave?
I don't know. That's what I think. That's what I think the change was at the right time. Dave left when they were as big as they could be. But Sammy came in and they started doing music which reflected more of the time. I mean, Dave did great with those first tracks. But how weird is this? Unlawful Carnal Knowledge came out in 1991. It was a massive album. Yeah. Dave released A Little Ain't Enough in 1991. And even though it's a great album, I think it's probably the most Van Halen Dave album. It, by all intents and purposes, it flopped.
Yeah.
How weird's that?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Right. One more question then, Bob, on this little bit. This is the elephant in the room. I'm going to say 3 words to you, but it's more than that. Van Halen 3.
Yeah?
Tell me what you think.
I fall in the camp of I wish they'd have done another album. I'm in that camp.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you.
I always, you ask me what my favourite songs are. I always do go for singles. I'm a big single guy. I think Without You is great. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
But other than that, the rest of the album's a bit of a fucking mess.
Yeah, it's something. I went a couple of weeks ago when I went to walk. I can't walk without music on, so I listened to it. And we're both big Extreme fans, as people will know by now. I love Gary Sharon. I just always thought he's fantastic. Again, not just his voice, but just his attitude and everything. He seems like he's got a real get up and go. And I bought the album I think probably the day it came out, and some of it's verging on like a bit art rock.
Oh yeah, it's a weird album.
Yeah.
And that's one of its positives, I think, because whereas I felt balance, although I do like a lot of the stuff on it, it felt like a diluted For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge to me.
Yeah.
Where I was saying Sammy became content, it was cruising along, perhaps Eddie and the rest, because of what was happening in the band, things were just, okay, we need to put a new album out. Whereas Van Halen 3, Eddie was playing like with a fire again, which showed on and what they did on the subsequent tour.
Yeah.
People got nothing but good reviews for that tour.
Yeah.
So another album would have perhaps been pretty friggin' special.
Yeah. No, I think it's unfairly criticised, but that I'm so much done it that a band changes its singer. Oh, they'd already changed once. All right, but Sammy had been, but it's never going to be the same as it was before.
No.
But I agree with you. I think Eddie sounds on it like he'd regained the passion again.
Yeah. But a lot of people say it's an Eddie Van Halen solo album. That's one of the things.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
But
have you watched? Sorry, Bob. Have you watched that? What's that thing he did? The video where he's locked in his studio. It's got a woman's name. The song. What's it called? Where he was having a bit of a meltdown and he recorded. Oh, what's that video called? Do you know what I mean? When he was going through a bit of a rough patch and he recorded that song. Can you remember? It was about that time when he was supposed to have been recording something for an adult film.
I've seen like the backstage parties and stuff like that.
But there's a video, isn't there, of him recording the song, the music to it, and he looks. Yeah. Oh, what's it called? Is it called Catherine or something? I'm sure it's got a woman's name. You'll have to seek it out. I've not watched it for a long time. He's in the studio on his own recording, and he just.
I've not seen that. I don't think
it was before he cleaned himself up. And, I find it quite hard to watch.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
You'll have to. What's it called? I'm showing my ignorance now. I shouldn't have mentioned it. Unless, that was that period.
What? How do you know the whole Mitch Malloy story, right?
I'm not sure. I might know some of it. I'm not sure.
He was another guy who was in Van Halen for about 2 days.
Yes.
Mitch Malloy, a big Mitch Malloy fan.
Yeah.
I just wonder how that would have panned out, because Mitch was like the quintessential rock singer. He's got the long blonde hair.
Yeah.
Looks like a god. A good dude, can sing like a friggin' angel, and by all intents and purposes, he was in Van Halen for maybe either 2 days or 2 weeks.
Right.
I wonder how that would have panned out. Would it have been accepted more because he was fitting into the Van Halen stereotype of what their singers are known to be?
Maybe.
Would that have been accepted more? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because there's a song up there, It's the Right Time,
right,
with him singing.
Yeah.
Which is a great song.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, It's difficult when you can imagine the stick that we know the stick Sammy got when he joined.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it was going to be difficult talking about Van Halen 3. It was going to be difficult for whoever took over at that point.
Yeah.
And maybe Gary Sharon's, the More Than Words singer,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But I think it's a really good album. And I don't care who knows it. So, how would we round things off then, Bob? What are our final thoughts about the impact that they had Van Halen had as a whole on us?
Oh, man. I can't imagine what it must have been like to be a fan of hard rock or rock and roll in the 70s to hear that album being played. Because even now you listen to it. Van Halen and Kiss are like talked about as like two of the most influential hard rock bands, which kicked off whatever you want to call that hard rock scene from the mid 80s to the very beginning of the early 90s and stuff. But both them bands, the bands which they influenced, I don't think many of them actually sound like them. Even though like all my favourite bands quote Kiss as a favourite band, they don't really sound like 70s Kiss. No. And I think the same can be said a lot of times for Van Halen, really. Not many bands like tried to incorporate those riffs. Maybe Bullet Boys, they were perhaps the only band that, oh yeah, God, these guys sound like Van Halen. But there's not many others. So I think, I don't know. How do you think about that? Do you think they influenced many bands? It was more like image and attitude, I think.
Yeah. Because they, it's hard to say, isn't it? Because there was the spandex. They did wear spandex, but they didn't look like some of the other spandex wearing bands that we know and love. And and maybe what I said about the Hot for Teacher solo, Eddie, probably still comes from a blues rock background from what he was listening to.
Yeah. I think Eddie's playing perhaps only influenced people more in the actual solos of songs.
That's just what I was going to say. I think there were bands that probably tried to sound like him but didn't quite manage it. But I hear more of him in guitar players than I do of them in other bands. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I know what you mean.
It's tricky, isn't it? Because how there are some great guitar players, some phenomenal guitar players who have clearly been influenced by Eddie, but they still can't touch what he actually did.
No.
That's why I say when I say I've been teaching Hot for Teacher, like I say, hopefully I did him justice, but you can't. I can only I've been playing guitar a long time. I can only portray to my students a minuscule amount of the feel, right?
Yeah.
I try and put as much of it across as I can, like the aggressiveness of it. He was quite an aggressive player, wasn't he?
Yeah.
At times. But no, I think I like that how I've just put that. I hear him in other guitar players. I don't necessarily hear Van Halen in loads and loads of bands.
That's a great way of putting it.
But that doesn't diminish what they did. Maybe that's because people couldn't sound like them because they weren't capable of being.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you listen to an instrumental version of some of those, particularly the early albums, holy shit.
Yeah. Well, let's
how
be
he
honest.
wrote that kind of stuff. It's not logical to write that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Eddie Van Halen is the quintessential hard rock guitar player.
Yeah.
Alex Van Halen is the quintessential hard rock drummer. And to me, Michael is the quintessential rock bass player. And
two of the finest frontmen.
Yeah. So how can you copy that? And if you try and copy it, if you can't carry it off, you look ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, Dave gets a bad rap for his vocal. Oh, Dave Lee Roth can't sing. But listen to the tone in his voice. He's perhaps not got... You could probably find a million singers in any kind of singing academy who can sing better than David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
Listen to the tone in his voice.
Yeah. But you see, you can be influenced by a musician, can't you? But not always bring it across into the music you make. Right. I'm going to throw it. There's a guitar player called Pete Thorne. I don't know whether you've ever come across him, but he played with Chris Cornell.
Right.
Around Euphoria Morning, I think, that sort of era. But to me, he's one of the great modern guitar players. He does like lots of demos and he puts his own music out as well. But he does loads of demos of pedals and guitars, and he's an absolutely incredible guitar player. He's just done a massive in-depth thing about how Eddie got the Marshall sound,
right,
with Dave Friedman of Friedman Amps. He obviously, and he's put up videos recently since Eddie passed about what it means to him. You can tell that he's influenced by Eddie Van Halen, but he's just used that to become a fantastic guitarist in his own right.
Yeah.
And he didn't play like Eddie Van Halen when he was playing with Chris Cornell.
No.
But he might have used some of the techniques. You know what I mean? So
but that's like what you say, though. Hot for Teacher, it's basically a blues riff if you break... blues solo if you break it down.
So I think the best musicians take their influence, but don't overtly have to hit you over the head with it.
Mm-hmm. They don't have to do a twist on
aspects.
Eruption or something like that.
No. And I mean, so I don't. I think that's what I say. I think you take those bits and you try and mold it into your, not your version, but you try and bring it into your skill set. The players that want to overtly sound like somebody else, I haven't got a lot of time for them, really.
No.
Because you're not being true to yourself. Whereas what Pete Thorne does, he's a phenomenal guitar player. He clearly likes Eddie Van Halen, but he's probably been influenced by umpteen guitar players, you know. Like one of my favourite guitarists is a guy called David Grissom, who he's played with the Dixie Chicks, and I got into him through, he played with John Mellencamp, and he plays PRS guitars. One of his big influences, I know, is Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top.
Okay.
And I can tell in Grissom's playing that, but he's made it completely his own.
Yeah.
He does this like swampy Texan blues thing. He could play rings around most blues rock guitar players, but he doesn't need to. But you can tell he's taken that Billy Gibbons thing and made it his own. That's the thing about Hendrix again, that there's too many people just try and sound like Hendrix. Now, blimey O'Reilly, I play blues rock guitar, Bob, and I probably play things that sound like Hendrix that I'm trying to rip him off, but that's probably because I've heard somebody else playing it. But then you get someone like John Mayer. Mm-hmm. I love John Mayer as a guitar player. I love what he does. It's the blues rock thing again. He does it with his own twist. But he's filmed videos playing striped Van Halen guitars.
Yeah.
Kramer like 80s guitars. He's taking the mickey a bit, but then he goes and plays with the remaining members of the Grateful Dead. So he's I'm sure he was influenced by Van Halen, but he's taken bits out of it, but he plays blues. He doesn't need to show you that he can play Eruption.
Yeah. It's like,
I'm rambling a bit.
No, it's like,
you get what I mean.
But but just put it like that. Where did Eddie Van Halen's style came from? He took it from, if you say like, what's his influence? Who is Eddie Van Halen's biggest influence? Is it Eric Clapton?
Probably. Well, it must have been an influence on him. Yeah.
Well, I know he is up there in his influence.
Yeah.
I can't think of anyone else who is mentioned as a bigger influence. It's like he didn't try and. So where did that come from?
Yeah.
From that
so Eddie took the blues and supercharged it.
Yeah.
And he was the first. I'm sure he'd said many times that he wasn't the first person to tap with two hands on the fretboard, but he took it and made it his own. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a bit depressing, really, for the rest of us. I've been playing a guitar a long time. I'll never be remembered for anything, And he look at all these things that he, in
his 20s.
Yeah, the tapping, the speed, the songs. The sound,
Just gear as well, from a gear level, the amount of stuff he was perhaps the Van Halen musical output wasn't that much over the last couple of decades or so, but because I was looking, A Different Kind of Truth, that's getting on for nearly 10 years old.
Yeah. Blimey, that's crazy, isn't it?
He was continually into innovation through gear and guitars and stuff like that, continually changing stuff. It's great.
And in latter years, the EVH brand, which I think is all made by Fender, but he got complete control.
Yeah.
Because just quickly before we finish, obviously after the Music Man, he went to PV. I hated that PV guitar. It looked dreadful. Horrible. Yeah. It took the shape-ish, and he sort of, made it, I think liking it, that he made the Music Man EVH into like a parallelogram. He went like that.
Right.
If you look at it, he stretched the top horn out, and horrible.
Yeah.
I guess he liked the shape he got, you see, but he couldn't take it with him.
Yeah.
Probably due to some licensing agreement. So he just tweaked it very slightly, and it was horrible. Anyway. Cool. Right, mate.
Awesome.
I enjoyed that. I think we've done him justice.
Yeah, we've fanboyed enough.
Yeah, I've rambled on about rubbish, so, we could spend a couple of hours just talking about his guitar sound, and
you could.
Yeah, I could. Yeah. Very good. Right. So, I guess people have got to stay tuned. Stay tuned to see what we do for episode 3. We've got some ideas.
Any ideas? People can let us know.
Yeah. Message one of us, Instagram or whatever, and you can tell us any idea. We've got plenty though.
Yeah, we're good. We've got some backed up.
Yeah. Cool. Nice one, mate. See you soon. Dude. Oh, and we can say it. So we're filming this on the
18th of December.
Yeah, before Christmas. So have a good Christmas.
Have a good Christmas.
That's not going to age well, though, is it? If someone watches this in like 6 months' time. But anyway, right. All right, mate. See you later.
All right. Take it easy, mate.
See you. Bye. Bye.